Whenever I travel, I love taking one or two pieces of gear with me so I can jam while I'm on the road. The Novation Circuit has filled this role perfectly for a really long time for me. A couple of months ago, I was working on my studio and I pulled on a cable, and what do you know, thing fell down and took one of the pots with them. I went online and I started looking through all these forums, trying to figure out what part this was so I could get a replacement part for it. And I couldn't really find any concrete information about it. And so I continued looking. I ran into a post. Somebody said, why don't you just try giving Novation support a call or an email or something. And so I did. I wrote up an email and I explained everything that had happened, how I had pulled on the cord and dropped it and, broken the piece off. And I also told them, like, hey, I'm pretty handy with electronics. I would like to do the repairs myself. I just don't know what the part number is. And Greg, the customer service person who helped me, just basically said, hey, you know what? Give me your address. I will send you the parts. And this came to such a shock to me because, first of all, this is so old now. This has been replaced by the circuit tracks and circuit rhythms. I thought, well, it's got to be out of warranty, right? So the fact that they were willing to give me the parts, no questions asked, was just so unbelievable to me. And I thought, wow, that's really, really quite great customer service. And I was really impressed by the level of service that I got. So I figured, I need to fix this. So I might as well do a little video about it, see, share my experiences, and we can, go from there. Okay, so today we're going to be replacing this part. So you're going to need this part, okay? We are going to need a spatula or a credit card or something to pull open the rubber pad underneath the unit. We're going to need some solder wick. Of course, we're going to need some solder wire and some flux. Now, when you're working with these things, make sure that you are in a well-ventilated space, okay? This solder here contains lead. You can get without lead, but you just have to adjust your temperatures. Leaded is much easier to work with. Both of these things are pretty nasty on your lungs, so it's good to work on a well-ventilated space. Gonna need some wire cutters, and then some tweezers or pliers or something along those lines. A desoldering gun, I think is what this is called, or solder sucker. And some rubbing alcohol in a little container to put the alcohol in, and then just some Q-tips to kind of clean the area. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take this rubber piece off. Now, I've already done some service on this in the past, so mine should be relatively loose. But if it isn't, if yours isn't, you may need to use an X-Acto knife. I know it's scary, but ideally you don't. It would be better if you use something like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pry this out and take it off. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside. This is still very tacky here, so I'm going to try not to let anything fall on this so that it can actually stick here again. If if yours isn't as tacky, there's actually spray adhesive that you can get to get this back in here. I don't think I'm going to need it because mine is still quite tacky. Next, we are going to remove all the plastic caps. Might as well remove this while we're at it. We'll need to remove these nuts as well. This is a 10mm socket, and this should make the job a lot easier. If you don't have that, you can, use that. Okay. Now I'm going to remove all the screws that are on the bottom. Okay, so now we need to open this up. And there are some cables in here which are attached to the battery holder and the speaker. So I'm just gonna carefully So just so you guys know what I did here, there are some, in here there's a couple of latches that are holding the unit up right there, see? So if you just go with that credit card or spatula just underneath it, just to push this up, it should come out pretty easily. Okay, so the two cables that we need to unplug, one of them is right here. So can you see? Yeah, right here. I'm just gonna get this cable off it. And then there's another one on the other side. So I'll just turn it over. Right here. And now we're gonna set this aside. All right, so next we're going to remove the I/O board. This is still just secure with a few screws in here. All right, so now we can take these screws off. Okay. And so now what we'll do is we'll take this ribbon cable off so we can work with it. It's really easy to do it. You just need to push on this little black part away from the white plastic part, just like that. And then really easily the cable just pops off. So here's the piece we're going to be replacing. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so just like last time, the process will be the same. So rather than talk through the process, because I will speed it up because it will take some time, just remember we're going to put some flux, then we're going to put some solder, and then we're going to apply some heat and remove the solder, remove the part. Okay. Okay, it looks like my iron is not heating up. So I'm just trying to try a slightly higher temperature. Okay, so looks like what's going on here is this particular hole, the pad is gone. And the worst part is that it is stuck in there. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to figure out where that connection is, what is that connection is where is it going, and I'm gonna have to create a jump, fix it that way. So okay, so we are in luck because it looks like this is actually a ground pin. So after a couple of hours of battling with this component, I finally got the part out and all the holes completely clear, and I think I figured out what my problem was. So let me talk about it, because what has happened has made me want to change plans a little bit. So first thing is, so I think the reason for my problem was that, well, number one, the solder that is in here is not leaded, and you can kind of see because leaded solder, and this one right here I had replaced already. This one is shinier, and well, this has more of a dull color to it. That's typically one of the characteristics of the lead-free solder. The other thing is, I think my soldering pencil was not hot enough because I was afraid of damaging the component, so I purposely did it at a lower temperature, and in hindsight I probably should have heated it a little bit more. The other thing is, when I pulled the part, I pulled, I think, a little too hard, and sure enough, the problem that I had yesterday, why one of those holes was getting stuck, is because the pad itself had broken off from the circuit board. So luckily, the pad that fell off happened to be the one that was connected to ground. This is beneficial for us because it means that we'll be able to salvage this. What we'll have to do is we'll just have to pick another point on the board, and luckily for us, all of this side right here has a copper fill, and that copper fill is all connected to ground. So anywhere where there's a big block, we can just kind of scrape off and just use a little jumping wire to make that connection. So I'm going to alter the remainder of the video a tad and focus on fixing this particular pot and getting the circuit back into operational state. All right, so let's get started on day 2 of this, which brings me to another point. Last night as I was doing this, 2 hours into it, actually an hour into it, I started getting really frustrated. And I think that that's actually when I actually broke the pad. So the lesson there for me was take a break sooner, right? Don't let the frustration take over you like it did with me. Take a rest, come back, clear your head, get back into a state in which you can be more productive, and then tackle the problem. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so before we get this part back on, I got a little bit of rubbing alcohol in here and a clean Q-tip. And I'm just gonna make sure that I wipe off any kind of debris out of the area that I'm gonna be soldering again, just to, make sure that it's nice and clean. Okay. And as you can see, there's a few cutting little hairs in there. So I am just gonna grab a, brush and then just remove any kind of debris out of it. And I'm gonna do the same from the other side because I worked this pretty hard last night. So I'm sure that there's probably some residue still on both sides. And I'll take the clean end and then just clean around there. Okay, and just give that a nice good look. If you have a magnifying glass, this is a good time to inspect it. Just make sure everything looks good, there's no missing connections. So it's just that one that's missing there. All right, so I'm gonna put the part back on here. And then we are going to solder it. All right. Okay, so looks like there is actually a problem, so I'm gonna go ahead and connect this ground here. And since this is right next to the ground plane over here, I'm just gonna scrape a little bit and put a nice little short right there. Okay, should be quite simple. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to get where it's right to the core, to the copper. Okay, and that's it. So then what we can do is either just grab a little tiny bit of cable, or in my case, I'm just gonna use a little one of these. And that should be enough to do the trick there. So, just like that. Okay. So 2 things. I'm going to tin this part. So I'm going to just scrape it a little more. Okay, and that's it. Now I'm just gonna clean off, make sure there are no shorts. So let's take a look at it under the microscope. Okay, it just looks like this area right here might be a little bit problematic, so we're gonna clean it up. Okay, that does look better. Okay, so that looks better. Let's go ahead and I guess while we're here, we'll finish this off and then we'll reassemble the unit. Okay, let's go ahead and put this back together. If you guys remember, this is gonna go first, right? So this one's gonna go like this, and this one's gonna go over it like this, which means this cable here is the one that is attached to right there. So it goes under. I'm gonna push it until it goes no more. Then we just push the black piece back against the one white piece and that locks it. So now it's locked. So now we're gonna do the same thing with this one. This one goes like that. So again, I'm just gonna pull the little tab away. And then it locks. Okay. Now we can put all the screws. Okay. I'm gonna attach the headphone. Now we'll put the cover back on. This one is going to be a little tricky. The way this goes is this needs to be attached to that. This needs to be attached to that. Okay, so we'll attach this one first. Okay, next we're going to put these guys on, and then these guys on. Okay, so now let's put the rest of the screws on. Okay, so while we're here, I'm going to put the membrane back on. And yeah, it's still sticky enough. So I'm going to put the rest of the nuts back on. Okay, time for a test. So we could put the little battery cover back on. I don't break it again. Well, that's a good sign. Okay, I call that a success. So, great. Okay, so it's back in business. We have this going on, and hello, buddy. So, what did we learn today, bud? I think, you know, this particular one was quite emotional for me. I used to take this circuit out with me all the time, and and I was really quite sad when it broke. Um, but yeah, we managed to fix it, and yeah, we run into problems along the way, and you know what? That's the risk we do whenever we do DIY projects, right? But you know, just like with every problem, there's always a solution. Um, and if I learned anything today, I learned that it pays to be patient, right? I think the reason why this way that went it went this why this went the way it was because I got impatient trying to get that part out, and and um, yeah, and but and I think that if I hadn't stopped when I stopped, it probably would have gotten worse. Um, and at the end, we managed to salvage it. So yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy that that this unit is now a candidate for landfill. Instead, it's getting a second life in my studio again, and I am so happy about that. So anyway, you know, the other thing, of course, was the fantastic support I got from Novation along the way. It was a fantastic experience. And yeah, you bet your butt I'm a happy customer. So yeah, I encourage you guys, you know, don't be afraid to work on your gear and service it, you know. I mean, yeah, there's risk, but the rewards are quite great. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Um, and if you want to stay informed of upcoming videos, please hit that subscribe button. I will continue to make more informative videos and share my progress as I learn more of this stuff with you guys. So yeah, all right. See you in the next video. Take care.